Hey guys, welcome back to the internet. So I felt like doing a story video today, because I haven't done one in a little over a week. For those of you who only watch my story videos, you should check out some of my recent Ask Reddit videos. They're very similar. I still tell a bunch of stories, they're usually just all focused on one topic. But if you have a hard time distinguishing my videos from the rest, just see my thumbnails that say Ask Reddit commentary on them. And also, if you haven't seen any of my recent videos, I'm going to be doing an Ask Me Anything video. Today's actually the last day to submit any questions, so I'll have that video up tomorrow. So yeah, let's just get into the stories. Starting with, Entitled Mom wants to know why fellow passengers won't serve her. So this is my friend's story, not mine. He told me this story and I asked if I could tell it on Reddit. So I worked for an airline as a flight attendant. However, I was heading to a friend's wedding in Hawaii, so I wasn't working that week. I decided I was going to fly the airline I worked for since I knew how it worked and trusted it. So I got on the plane, no problem, we took off. A little after takeoff, I noticed something I recognized. The person turns out to be John, who's a flight attendant on duty. I was recently working on a flight with John. I see him, he sees me, and the conversation starts. We talk about our lives outside on a plane and whatnot. Suddenly, the entitled mom appears. Now at first, she wasn't rude, just kind of joining the conversation. Weird, yes. Rude, no. She says, "Oh, how do you two know each other?" "Well, Mark and I worked on a flight together a week ago." "That sounds fun. Why aren't you in uniform?" I say, "Well, I'm not working this flight." "But you're a flight attendant. You should be in uniform and serving the passengers." I say, "No, I'm off this week to go to a friend's wedding. I'm not working." "You do work for this airline, don't you?" I say, "Yes, but I'm off duty." "So you do work here. In that case, could you get my child water?" I say, "No, I couldn't because I'm not working on this flight." "No, you're a flight attendant. You serve me. You're not in uniform and you're refusing me service. Once this plane lands, I'll have you arrested." Now, John left when she started repeating the same flawed logic. Thank the Lord he was getting Piper, who was some higher-up worker. Piper says, "Ma'am, I was told you were being indecent to another passenger." Now, I didn't know Piper before this, but we became friends after this. She says, "No, this man is an attendant. He's the one being indecent." I say, "I work for this airline, but I'm not working for this flight. I don't work this week." Piper says, "Sir, would you like to move?" I say, "Yes, please." Eventually, we found someone willing to switch with me. This person just happened to be the entitled mom's husband, who got separated due to late booking, I'm assuming. So I lived the rest of my plane flight in peace. You would think that it was over, but it wasn't. After we landed, I got off the aircraft and was headed to the food court because I was hungry. My friend Sam said he was running late because of traffic. No biggie. So I'm casually eating my sandwich when a police officer comes up to me. The officer says, "Sir, you need to come with me." Now I'm worried. I follow the officer through the airport to the security office, all with stuffing my face with food. When I enter the office, I see the entitled mom, with her hubby and child, nowhere to be seen. The officer says, "We have been informed that you have traveled overseas with no passport or visa of any sort." I say, "Wait, but I didn't travel overseas. My flight was from JFK to DKI. I never left the country." The entitled mom says, "See, officer, he admitted it. He flew from America to Hawaii with no passport. Arrest him." So I realized she was angry at me for whatever reason, and described my appearance to an officer so they could find me. And she could accuse me of illegal immigration within my own country? The officer realized that she is literally an idiot and lets me go and has her stay. I exit the office and find my friend Sam, who arrives during this ordeal. I wonder if this lady was really confused as to why they didn't check for her passport when she flew to Hawaii. Alright, next up we've got bank won't make a change, so I close my account instead. So this happened a few years ago. I was working at a large national chain restaurant as a manager. I was asked to temporarily reassign to a location in a city about an hour away, and accepted. They put me up in a hotel, the whole 9 yards. The first week I was there, I discovered that the GM had screwed up and not ordered any change for the safe. Just small bills and rolls of coins. And that the local branch of our bank would be closing in the next hour. I also happened to have a personal account at the same bank, and had, in the past, gone and gotten change from the branch back home. Since time was tight, I quickly looked up the address of the bank, grabbed $800 and jumped in my car. I get to the bank, wait in line, and then ask them to make change. $400 in $5 bills, $300 in $1 bills, and $100 in assorted rolled coins. The teller tells me that the bank doesn't make change. So me, thinking that this is because they don't know me, informed them that our restaurant had an account she could look up. She then told me, "No, we don't make change at all." The thought going through my brain was, what the F? You were a bank. I tried explaining the situation, but was quickly shot down. I left, went back to my car, then had an idea. I went back inside the bank with my personal checkbook, got to the front of the line, and luckily, the same teller, before she could even greet me, I pulled out my checkbook and told her, "I would like to close this account, since this bank is no longer customer service oriented." She kind of rolled her eyes, but went about my request. Then she asked how I wanted my cash back. An automatic response, I'm sure, and one I was counting on. I said, $400 in fives, $300 in ones, $70 in rolled quarters, $25 in rolled dimes, $4 in rolled nickels, and $1 in rolled pennies. The rest can be on a cashier's check. No reason for her to deny it, so I got my change. And the following Monday I returned, closed out the other 2 accounts I had there, and I opened accounts at a different bank where I'd been banking ever since. You know, sometimes I forget that when you work with a bank, you're technically still a customer at a bank, and they still like having your business. So it's kind of interesting when you can shut down a bank to get a better one somewhere else. Want to charge a foreign currency fee when I withdraw in my own currency? Okay. So I bank in the UK and was visiting Gibraltar, which also uses sterling. I tried to make a cash withdrawal from the local Barclays bank, but my provider declined as it was too large, instead making me withdraw twice. On checking my statement, I found that they had charged me £1.50 for both transactions for withdrawing in foreign currency. I queried this several times and got a few barely literate responses back that Gibraltar is out with the UK, and point blank refusing to refund the transactions, even though I pointed out that they have never done this before with other ATMs in Gibraltar. Not really having much recourse, I decided to change banks, but not close the accounts. Just change to paper statements and leave a penny in there. They now get to send me a monthly statement and a yearly tax summary of how my penny is doing. That was 8 years ago. Maybe it's time to let it go. You know, it wasn't intentional to pull 2 stories in a row of people changing banks, but I guess that's what we're doing. Alright, let's move on to a non-bank related story called I Really Hate Hagglers. So I work in a charity shop. We occasionally get a few problem customers, rude people, shoplifters, and hagglers. A woman brought some perfume to the counter. It was a good brand, still in its box, priced at €15. She wanted it for €10. My manager happened to be present and told her no, she wouldn't get a 33% discount. The woman claimed €10 was all she had on her, but was told again that she was not going to get the perfume for 10. Eventually, and I think mostly to get her to leave, she was told she could buy it for $12.50, so miraculously she managed to find another $2.50. But she didn't leave. She returned with a jumper priced at €5 and a second miracle. She found another 4. She asked if she could come back and pay that remainder later. I told her no, she had to pay in full up front. Her third miracle, she found the other 1. She could be a saint. Then, displaying an amazing lack of self-awareness, she said, "Well, it's for a good cause." Though apparently not good enough to pay full price for anything. You know, I've never really dealt with hagglers inside the US. The only time I really ran into it was in Mexico. But a few years ago I was working as a cashier at just like a big store. And this I think this Chinese couple, they came up to the register with like a cart filled with stuff. They pulled out the first thing in their cart and they're just like, "How much for this?" And they were like immediately trying to talk down every item in their cart. And so I immediately was just like, manager, come here. And so the manager comes and steps in and I just like back away and watch from a distance. And then I just get to watch my manager fight with this old Asian couple that's trying to barter down everything in their cart. And the whole thing was pretty amusing because I didn't have to deal with it. Well, as hard as I've been trying, I can't seem to get a 5th story for today, so we're just going to move on to the question, which is, what is the scariest thing you've ever seen while driving at night? I slammed the brakes once because I saw a deer in my peripheral vision. Upon closer inspection, it was a mounted deer head on a stick in the middle of the woods. Slammed the gas after I realized that. Don't game wardens do this kind of thing to like bait hunters or something? I don't know, I'm not much of a wilderness expert. So I was on I-70 in Colorado going towards Utah. Pulled over at a gas station at 8 p.m. Fueling up, I noticed a couple attractive women pumping gas. On the other side of the pumps was a man in his late 40s, just staring at these young women without notice of anything else going on around him. I walk inside to go grab some food for the next few hours of driving. When I come out, I see both the younger woman's car and the old man's truck are gone. I decided to hang out at the gas station for the next hour to catch up a little sleep before hitting the road again. After driving for a few hours, I was speeding heavily. I pulled over at yet another gas station. The young women are there getting gas and eating some food at a picnic table. Looked like they had been there for a while, and I didn't see any sign of the man or the truck, but can't say I was looking very hard for it. Well, here's where it got creepy. I can't say I didn't stare at them for a bit. I mean, they were good-looking women. As I'm watching them leave, I see in the next parking lot over some headlights turn on, and it's the same man as before. He leaves when the women leave once again. Okay, that's a bit weird, but could just be coincidence, as there weren't many places to pull over. I leave a few minutes later and catch up to them. Now this guy is riding their tail with his high beams on. I decide to slow down and stay a distance behind the truck. 10 minutes or so later, the women pull over once again to most likely get the guy off their tail. With a sign of relief, the truck keeps going, and I continue on my way. About 1 mile down the road, the guy just pulls off to the side of the highway. So I pull off a mile or so down the road again. Sure enough, the women drive by, and the guy is still following them. At this point, we're out in the middle of nowhere, and too many coincidences have happened. I called the cops to alert them, and about 15 minutes later, the cops pull the guy over. I could have just seen too many horror movies that started like this, and overreacted, but you never know. Better safe than sorry. And it sounds like you were just having one big leapfrog game on the highway. Maybe the girls thought you were stalking them, or maybe that guy thought that you were stalking him while he was stalking them. Well, at least it seemed to have hopefully turned out okay. I saw a lonely abandoned shack with a bunch of arrows pointing to it, saying, "Come in." Do you live in a cartoon? Because I don't think that's real. So I used to deliver pizza, and often had deliveries right at midnight when we closed. One time, late at night, I'm driving back to the store through a small neighborhood. Up ahead I see something. It's a perfectly spherical, bright and shiny thing, just hovering about 6 feet off the ground, not moving at all. I pull up very slowly, still doesn't move, still can't comprehend what I'm looking at, just this shiny, hovering orb in the road at midnight. At this point, my curiosity has overridden my fear. I'm the guy in the horror movies who dies first because I just gotta know. Either I die or I get a cool story, right? So I hop out of the car and slowly walk up to it. I'm right in front of it and still can't understand what I'm seeing. So I reach out and touch it. It's a balloon. One of those foil birthday balloons with the streetlights shining on it to make it look weird out of context in the middle of the night on an empty road. Well, he did say he was either gonna die or get a cool story out of it, but I don't know that this story really counts as being that cool. So my dad was driving at night, and I was looking out the window and saw 2 red pinpricks in the cornfield, and it followed us. I told my dad about it, and he said, in the most calm, casual tone for the situation, "Those are cornfield demons. Stay in the car and you'll be okay." Cue me freaking out when he got out of the car, not too long after, to check a tire before getting back in. I'm still not sure if that's an actual thing, or if he was just using a situation to his advantage to teach me to not do anything stupid like that at night. Either ways, it worked, and I still have no idea what those 2 pinpricks were. Maybe it was a signal from the aliens telling you to join in on the Area 51 raid. So I was a very young woman driving home after clubbing, about 2 a.m. through Hollywood. I was pulling up to a stop sign on Cahuenga, about 3 blocks from Hollywood Boulevard, when a bunch of guys began to casually stroll onto the crosswalk, coming from both sides. I hit the gas and ran the stop sign without even thinking. They cursed and ran after me, but those boys were ready to jack me. My instincts took over before I even realized what was happening. Well, it sounds like you did the right thing. You know, it's kind of ironic that Hollywood is portrayed as one of the most glamorous places in the country, when really it's like one of the trashiest. But that's all for these scary night driving stories. I guess you could say I have one kind of story for this. So I think it was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago while I was living at my grandparents' house. So I used to wake up at like 5 in the morning to go to work. I had a car, but I didn't use it to get to work. So I woke up at like 5 one morning, and I had to move my car from the front street. I had to pull it around to like the back alley, which led up to like the back side of the house. So I'm just driving my car around the block, and as I start coming up the back alley, I see this animal in front of me. And it turns out it was just this gigantic porcupine. I don't know where it came from, but it got scared of my headlights and started running like towards where I was going, so I just kind of followed it for a little bit. And it just climbed the chain link gate that led to the back side of the house, and it just got stuck on top. So I get out of my car and I'm just like, well, crap, I have to go through that gate, but there's a massive, probably like 50-pound porcupine sitting on top of it, so I don't know how I'm gonna get through. So I just had to go into the neighbor's yard and hop the fence. But yeah, that does it for the end of this video. Sorry, this video is a little more lackluster than usual, I think. If you want some better videos, you should watch my Ask Reddit videos, so keep an eye out for those. And yeah, don't forget to leave any more questions. I've received a lot of questions so far, so we'll see if I can fit them all into one video. But I guess I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Come here.